Hey everybody, welcome to the Fractured Focus reaction for the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer. We are pumped as hell. I'm one of your hosts, Ben Gordon, alongside my brother, the illustrious Dan Gordon.
Hello there.
And of course, coming in live from the great state of Nebraska, the fine swine of Omaha himself, Matt Swinehart. How you doing, Matt?
I'm good.
You ready to rock? You excited? Are we pumped for Spider-Man?
Oh, yeah.
Feel it. Feel it.
Let's go ahead and jump right into this. So, obviously, we almost never get Spider-Man movies at all. To my understanding, this is only the first or second that's ever come out.
I like how they're trying something new here.
Right, we're doing something completely different. But initial thoughts from you guys, what'd you think? I love this trailer. What do you guys think?
Tom Holland. This is a Spider-Man that we have been waiting for a long time.
I agree.
I liked Andrew Garfield. I liked Tobey Maguire. But the big thing that I got out of him is that they're taking it back to Spider-Man being like an immature kid. And you can see that both when he's Peter Parker and as Spider-Man. He's not trying to force the quips in. You can actually see it's him being him. And I think Tom really, he pulls it off better than his two predecessors.
It feels like he feels more like what you think of Peter Parker than, don't get me wrong, Tobey Maguire did a good job, his version. I thought he was a little too, first of all, he looked like he was in his mid to late 20s when he was in it. Secondly,
Well, he might have been.
yeah, well, right? Sam Raimi did a great job. No one can argue with at least the first two. Two is probably one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. But just that, something about that, the Spider-Man part was cool, but the quips that Spider-Man would do, when Tobey Maguire would do it, just were never really...
It was almost forced.
Yeah, and his Tobey Maguire was way too calm and collected, quiet. That was just kind of weird. And yeah, Andrew Garfield, I like too. He was more quick with it, but he was also kind of that...
He's almost too cool
skater
for Spider-Man.
punk. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cocky and brash.
Yeah. Don't you guys think this feels like the Peter Parker we've been waiting for?
Yeah, I mean, he's a kid. He's still trying to come into his own. I mean, you can kind of tell he's inexperienced as hell, and he's frustrated. He's got all these almost. The best way I can describe it is these immature elements.
Yeah.
And that's like really helps describe Spider-Man at that.
But he still really draws you in. He's very approachable.
Absolutely. That's actually what draws you in.
Yeah.
Is that he doesn't know. He hasn't met up against, aside from his fight with the Avengers. He's not experienced in this, and he's still wowed by the stuff that he sees.
Yeah.
He's like the fight scene when the guys are robbing the ATMs. I mean, he literally has a wow moment. I mean, and that's because this is all new to him. It's all excited for him. He's got this almost like youthful exuberance almost that you didn't really catch from the other two. Yeah.
What do you think, Matt?
A lot of the same things. I think it's a great cast. I love the fact that he's just running his mouth the whole time because it does mimic the comic books so much. I guess I was a little turned off by the involvement of Tony Stark. I guess I was hoping for an origin story. I don't think we're going to get it.
Yeah.
I think this kind of falls in place somewhere.
Don't you think, though, too, with as much Spider-Man, as many of the movies we've gotten over the past over a decade now, a decade and a half, do we really need the origin story again?
I don't necessarily know that we do. I just thought they'd kind of touch on it a little bit.
Sure.
I mean, that's like what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man is that origin story part of it.
Right.
Which they did really good in the Sam Raimi version of it with Tobey Maguire. The Amazing Spider-Man version, it got a little too off base for me. And then I guess the one thing that Amazing got right was the fact that he doesn't secrete that himself. He created that.
Right.
But he also didn't steal it from Oscorp. He actually came up with it based on something within his head. He just figured it out.
Because that's what they're doing in this one, right? He's created the webbing himself.
Yes,
Right.
I believe that's the way it is. I thought the suit looked cool. The ATM scene was great. I think there's a lot in that scene that they didn't really touch on, like all the tech that they're using to cut those ATMs open, all that stuff. The scenes with Vulture, obviously Michael Keaton being in there looked great. That closing scene where he's holding the tug, or not the tugboat, the boat, whatever it is, together, the ferry, I guess that actors. He's holding it together, and if you look closely, behind him is the Statue of Liberty.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's cool.
As it opens up, right in the middle is the Statue of Liberty.
It's a metaphor.
At first, I just thought he was holding part of it together.
Yes,
but it's the whole thing he's holding together.
Yeah.
As far as Tony Stark, did you at least like what you saw from this? I mean, that's Tony being Tony. Has there ever been in a Marvel movie so far where you didn't like a scene that Tony Stark was in? Are you really worried about that for this one? Or is it just
Apart
because
from
it's going to be a different
Iron Man
origin?
movie?
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah,
Robert Downey
and that
Jr.
wasn't the Tony
nails
Stark
that
scenes.
part, and I think adding him into
Yeah.
this is going to be great.
Yeah, no, I thought the limo scene was great, where he reaches over and he gives him a hug, and he's like, "No, that wasn't a hug. I was opening the door for you." Yeah. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, actually, Matt, there's one thing I did want to ask you about. What do you think about the inclusion of Peter's friend discovering he's Spider-Man and essentially being like his little confidant in this movie? That's a little bit of a departure. You don't really see that in the comics at all. What was your reaction to that?
It is a bit of a departure because in the comic books, he's always had either Mary Jane
Yeah.
or Stacy,
Gwen Stacy.
Gwen Stacy. Sorry, yes, to kind of be that confidant. I can't say that it didn't come from the storylines. I don't know the more recent Spider-Man that well to know if he has that kind of sidekick type of character. But I didn't mind it much, actually.
Yeah.
Don't we kind of need that? We kind of need someone to play the role of the audience, too, since Tony Stark already knows who he is. Aunt May's not going to find out about it. Don't we need a character to play along with the role that the audience will of like, oh my God, who you are to have? I mean, I think we kind of needed that. Don't you guys think so?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean,
It's following the kind of the blueprint because I mean, even Deadpool had T.J. Miller, which
Right.
I can't remember what his name was, but I mean,
It's T.J.
so
Miller. That's all you
it's
need
kind
to
of-
know.
Right.
but something we didn't see in this that we saw in that teaser was John Favreau and his character. I can't remember what he is in.
He's
Iron
the
Man.
bodyguard now.
He's the bodyguard, I know, but I can't remember what his character's name is in there. And I probably should, but I didn't like the third movie that much, so I'm kind of blocking that out. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see how it gets there. I think the trailer was great, though. It was put together well.
Yeah, and I love that they're doing this fresh. You know, of all the conversations we've had about retreading old stuff from Transformers to how many times have they... I don't think Amazing Spider-Man was... I don't think it was bad. I think it was good, but it wasn't different enough, I think, to warrant... If you're going to redo it, have a different enough take that it feels different. And this feels very different, very fresh. I love the fact they're not using Mary Jane. I don't know who the love interest there is. I think they said her name when they were staring at her. But I didn't...
Liz, I
Liz
think.
or something. Yeah, I like that they're doing something different with this. We all agree that Tom Holland's going to rock this. I think having Tony Stark in the movie with a world that already has the Avengers existing, I think it's going to add... It's going to be cool, but it's going to add another level of complexity because the other movies were always standalone stuff that was just... The rest of the world is normal, but then we have this one character that Peter's facing off against that kind of mirrors, you know, his own extraordinary powers, this, that, and the other. That's not the case in this. There's people with powers all over the place. So when you see this Vulture character, well, I'm not familiar with the Vulture. I might remember him. He was, I'm assuming, in the animated series from the 90s. Vulture. They must have had him on some of them. I don't remember him. But I think that's a lot more believable now, especially with all the escalation they've had from the Marvel movies. Which one was it? Was it Civil War that Vision even said that the amount of people with powers or extraordinary abilities has exponentially grown since Iron Man came out?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so I think that's going to make this a lot more believable, but still, it looks really fun, lighthearted. It looks like it's, I know it's a co-venture, but this looks like it's got the Marvel magic on it that, Sony
absolutely.
and Fox haven't had.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, though, I mean, he's existing in a universe now that has the Avengers. So they're going to have to do something to keep them out of it. I mean, if you think about the third Iron Man movie, the Avengers existed,
Right.
but nobody showed up but Tony. Then they tried to kind of play that off as though S.H.I.E.L.D. was falling apart. This happened at the same time all of that was going on. So that's why you didn't see anybody else in the Iron Man movies. But they have Tony Stark literally in the movie at least more than once because they have the scene in the limo, which might be him dropping him off from the scene at Stark Tower,
Right.
where he's telling them there's heroes that'll handle this. But they're going to have to give a reason for them not to be there in some of this stuff.
Do you think maybe that's one of the reasons that we saw that final shot of Iron Man and Spider-Man flying off together is that he's helping him with this, right? He doesn't want... I mean, I think that would kind of make sense if Tony is going to after everything that Tony's gone through and the guilt he feels for all the catastrophe that the Avengers have, in the wake of what they've done to save us from time to time, don't you think he would feel a little bit guilty of putting like a 16-year-old boy, even though he's super powered, in harm's way, so he's trying to keep him away from it, and you could tell that that's going to be one of the curves of the movie as far as the tone goes of, I'm a kid, they're treating me like a kid, the coming of age type of thing, where by the end he's like, all right, let's go ahead and do this together. I mean, don't you think that that's kind of where they're going to go with this?
I don't think so. That looked like a trailer shot for me. I don't even know if that scene is going to appear in the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
It was in the trailer for me. It has the Spider-Man pose when he's on the web. I mean, it literally almost mimics comic book cover.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you have Tony Stark coming in. I don't necessarily know that's going to be in the movie. I mean, that's a strong connection.
Right.
I mean, and you're going to have trouble keeping Iron Man out of the movie if you're going to put that kind of image and imagery and set that tone for it.
Right.
So I think that was more of a trailer shot. It might happen at the very end. We might see it again, but I don't think we're going to see that throughout the movie.
Do you guys think that we'll get Spider-Man in Infinity War?
I think it would probably work to have the entire ensemble at least make some kind of appearance or some kind of involvement in it. I mean, this is like that's the culminating piece for all these movies that they've been coming out with, and it seems like a logical next step to try something on that scale.
Yeah.
Where you have that many heroes all trying to have like a meaningful role in this one big culmination.
And Spider-Man's such a big superhero for Marvel. Like he's, I mean, if it wasn't for the recent Iron Man movies, like Iron Man would have come close to Spider-Man. Spider-Man is like the Superman of Marvel as far as popularity wise. So I can't imagine them not having the Infinity War. What do you think?
I think it's going to be tough to put Spider-Man in Infinity War.
Really?
There's going to be people that die in Infinity War. Maybe Cap, probably Hawkeye. I don't know that they want to put Spider-Man in that fight.
Yeah.
I think he'll make an appearance more as a cameo, like I need you to watch this while we do this type of thing. Because Infinity Wars may not even happen on Earth.
True.
It may happen somewhere else.
God, I didn't think about that. I'm trying to think how they would do that. Get all these.
Well, it's food for thought, something to get excited about.
I mean, Thor can take you places, but is he going to take Spider-Man?
Well, now
He
that we got
doesn't even know
Doctor
him.
Strange too. You know,
I think it might just be like a
Spider-Man.
You're on the
Strange would
sidelines.
Be a little. Come into my closet,
didn't-
Spider-Man.
didn't they? Wow. Woo, way up. Didn't Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, weren't they in several comic crossovers together? Like they were pretty predominant, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that there were
they
several
both
times
reside in New York.
I think there were several
Yeah.
times where Doctor Strange would come in to help Spider-Man here and there. I think it can be challenging now that you've introduced Doctor Strange, who whatever you want to call it, magic, quantum mechanics, blah blah blah. When you add the ability to basically do almost anything, how do you keep that in check?
Yeah.
You know, how do you not just get to the point where your superhero can say, "All right, Thanos, you're dead," you know, and everybody, we're in Asgard, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how they could do that, but I really hope we get all these characters in Infinity War because this is definitely by far, at least as far, in my opinion, the best Spider-Man looking movie that we've ever had. All aspects. The Spider-Man, him in the suit and doing the what do you call it? Aerobatics? No.
Acrobatics.
Thank you. Acrobatics. Interacting with the Marvel group and doing everything that we saw in Civil War. And like you said, Matt, I love the fact that he was talking as much as Spider-Man does in the comics. Like, oh my God, that shield does not obey the laws of physics. You have a metal arm? That's so cool. I'm so pumped for the Spider-Man. I've got a feeling this is going to blow Amazing Spider-Man 2 out of the water, and I would love to see if this even did better than Sam Raimi's movies.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too. Looking forward to it.
Yep. Closing thoughts. You guys got anything else?
Like seeing Michael Keaton. Really looking forward to see what he's going to be doing as Vulture.
God, do you guys know anything about Vulture?
Almost nothing.
He's in the Amazing Spider-Man animated series,
From the 90s?
and he is a comic book staple.
Because it looks
No,
like
the new Spider-Man.
it looks like this one's
it-
borrowing a lot more from, what is it, Spectacular or Ultimate? That's the popular one right now where he's in high school.
Ultimate.
Is that
Or-
Ultimate?
I want to say it's Ultimate.
Yeah, because Spectacular was a few years ago, which was really good, but it was only like, 2 or 3 seasons, and then they switched it up.
Yeah, there's a couple of storylines going congruently right now,
Yeah.
but they are kind of different.
One last thing I want to bring up, too, I want to get you guys' thoughts on. They finally added the spider webbing to the suit.
Yeah, it's a nice little throwback.
Okay.
I like.
It's from the comics. They're paying homage to it. I myself never liked the webbing that I would see in the comics. It just looked weird to me. What do you guys think about the webbing?
It's a tribute to what is.
I know, but what do you guys think about it?
And I like it. I like
Yeah.
I like that part of the design. I mean, not just for stylistically, but also, it's almost like one of those pseudo setup of those glider suits that you use. You know, it helps with the acrobatics.
Which I'm assuming is got to be what it's doing, right? Or else what's the point of having it? It's got to kind of give him some.
In the comics, it's kind of just look at it's part of a costume,
right?
But you know, we could argue that, you know, there is function and it's not just form, but
practical application.
Yeah, but I like the design of it. Not just that they were paying homage to the comics, but just the fact I think it adds a little bit something more to the costume than it's just straight up skin tight.
Yeah, and it sounds like something Tony Stark would do, coming from an engineering mind.
Yeah,
if it's something that adds function to the suit. What did you think about it?
I didn't mind it much. I guess as far as for what I'm kind of hoping for, in all of the big Spider-Man comic books, he always gets his ass kicked. So there's going to have to be a part in there where his mask is half on, cut up. I mean, there's going to have to be that part of it.
You really want to see this high school kid bloody, don't you?
Yeah, you know. No, I more than anything, the thing about Spider-Man is he has these incredible powers, but he also gets his ass kicked on a pretty regular basis, which kind of brings him in with a lot of other people, especially younger people, because they can kind of see that even though he can do all these incredible things, he has to struggle to do them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just something like the ATM scene's cool because he doesn't really get hit, right? He's just kind of dictating it and pushing these guys around. But that's not all Spider-Man faces.
We really don't know how far his powers reach as far as healing ability, strength, or whatever, other than what we saw in Civil War. I mean, the only things that we've seen from Civil War, correct me if I'm wrong, are he stopped a car and picked it up before it hit a bus. Like, isn't that what some of the footage that Tony Stark was showing him? But we really don't know, like, as far as how strong he can take a beating, or we haven't seen him get bloody or anything like that. I'll be curious to see how far they extend that, because Tobey Maguire and he could get cut and stuff like that, but it seemed like he healed pretty fast, and it would take a lot to really injure him. I mean, he'd get flung off a building, hit a brick wall, land, and he'd be fine. Do you think that they'll take it that far, or do you think they'll go more realistic?
I think they'll take it to that extreme to somewhat. I mean, he's already showing that he has above human strength. I don't want to necessarily say that it's superhuman or on the level of like a superhero.
He was picking up a car.
Yeah, he's obviously stronger than a normal person, but at the same time, I think Captain America could do that same thing, and he's supposed to be the pinnacle of what a human can be.
Right.
Since his only enhancement is the fact that he's the best human that a human could possibly be.
It's because Captain America doesn't have any spider in him.
Duh. But he's powered by America.
Yeah.
America.
Cool. I'm pumped to see this. This is exactly what I want to see from a first trailer. I thought it was funny. I liked the Tony Stark element. Yeah, that part in the car was absolutely funny. I even liked, I don't know if you guys saw it, the teaser from, I can't believe they're doing teasers for trailers. Here's 20 seconds to highlight. We're going to show you 2 minutes tomorrow in a couple days.
Yeah.
But that
we got to keep you up.
Yeah, that scene where it's got Jon Favreau as the bodyguard saying, "Where's the suit?" And he pulls out the new Spider-Man suit that he got from Tony and says, "That's cool." I think that's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see how they incorporate all this stuff too. So cool. You guys got anything else?
Man, I'm good. But,
excited to see it.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you think of the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer. Was it everything you ever hoped and more? Are you excited to see this? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, and don't forget that we have regular episodes of Fractured Focus where you can watch a topic of the show each day of the week, Monday through Thursday, as we attempt to entertain you with our semi-witty banter and our incessant rambling. Until next time, Internet. I don't know, Spider-Man doesn't really have a send-off or a catchphrase, does he?
I think he does. I just don't know.
Did they do Excelsior, or was that more Stanley? I'm not saying Excelsior.
That's definitely Stanley. You already did.
Yeah.
Fuck that, I'm editing it out. Until next time, Internet.